It's a ghost town, we're in this together. They're closing all the stores down, we're heading for shelter. It's all war now, they'll always remember. We're locking all our doors down, we're sticking together. It's a ghost town, we're in this together. They're closing all the stores down, we're heading for shelter. It's all war now, they'll always remember. We're locking all our doors down, we're sticking together. It's all ghost town.
I know there's something in the wake of your smile. I get a notion from the look in your eyes. You've built a love, but that love falls apart. Your little piece of heaven turns to dark. Listen to your heart when he's calling for you. Listen to your heart. There's nothing else you can do. I don't know where you're going, and I don't know why, but listen to your heart before you tell him goodbye. Sometimes you wonder if this fight is worthwhile. The precious moments are all lost in the tide. We're swept away, nothing is what it seems. Feeling of belonging to your dreams. Listen to your heart when he's calling for you. Listen to your heart. There's nothing else you can do. I don't know where you're going, and I don't know why, but listen to your heart before you tell him goodbye. Listen to your heart. There's nothing else you can do. I don't know where you're going, and I don't know why. Listen to your heart before you tell him goodbye. Listen to your heart. like a small boat on the ocean, sending big waves into motion, like how a single word can make a heart open. I might only have one match, but I can make an explosion. And all those things I didn't say were wrecking balls inside my brain. I will scream loud tonight. Can you hear my voice this time? This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm on the right song. My power's turned up. Starting right now. I'll be strong. I'll play my fight song. And I don't really care if nobody else believes, 'cause I've still got a lot of fight left in me. Losing friends and I'm chasing sleep. Everybody's worried about me. In too deep. Say I'm in too deep. Oh, it's been 2 years, I miss my home. But there's a fire burning in my bones. Still believe. Yeah, I still believe. And all those things I didn't say were wrecking balls inside my brain. I will scream loud tonight. Can you hear my voice this time? This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm on the right song. My power's turned up. Starting right now. I'll be strong. I'll play my fight song. And I don't really care if nobody else believes, 'cause I've still got a lot of fight left in me. A lot of fight left in me. Like a small boat on the ocean, sending big waves into motion, like how a single word can make a heart open. I might only have one match, but I can make an explosion. This is my fight song. Take back my life song. Prove I'm on the right song. My power's turned up. Starting right now. I'll be strong. I'll play my fight song. And I don't really care if nobody else believes, 'cause I've still got a lot of fight left in me. No, I've still got a lot of fight left in me.
I keep fighting voices in my mind that say I'm not enough. Every single lie that tells me I will never measure up. Am I more than just the sum of every high and every low? Remind me once again just who I am, because I need to know. Ooh, oh, you say I'm loved when I can't feel a thing. You say I'm strong when I think I'm weak. And you say I am held when I am falling short. taking all I have and now I'm laying it at your feet. You'll have every failure, God. You'll have every victory.
posted 95 theses on All Saints Day Eve. Grace we receive. Money won't get us a reprieve. Just need faith and to believe. His name is Martin Luther. He's looking for some truth, yeah.
did declare that this is who I am for anyone that cares. I didn't change who I am. I've always been a man. Still it changed your world. But Dad, I'll always stay your little girl. 10 years ago, I know you had a hard time, and I tried and tried, 'cause I want you in my life. I'm just living true, no doubt in my mind, and these changes, they take time, you'll find. I didn't change who I am. I've always been a man. Still it changed your world. But Dad, I'll always stay your little girl. I know that you accept me as your son, but that doesn't mean your daughter ever did run. I'll always be close to you, no matter what. I love you and no doors are ever shut. I didn't change who I am. I've always been a man. Still it changed your world. But Dad, I'll always stay your little girl. I didn't change who I am. I've always been a man. Still it changed your world. But Dad, I'll always stay your little girl. But Dad, I'll always stay your little girl.
How you all doing? My name is Mr. Rev Comrade Rowley. I would just like to acknowledge that the land that we're meeting on for this Sunday's church service is of the Gadigal and the Wangal people of the Eora Nation. I pay my respects to the elders, both past and present, and recognise sovereignty, treaty, and social justice. We've had a little bit of bad news. We're having to well, there's some good news and some bad news. The good news is the good news is that I'm no longer suspended. That's suspended from university. That's the good news that I have to deliver. The bad news is that they still dismissed my appeal. Still dismissed my appeal. Didn't take any of the evidence that I said into the account. Didn't even acknowledge the fact that I've never been permitted to attend any hearing of my case. No, they didn't do any of that. But the bad news that I have to deliver is that since the 3rd of May, effectively as of the 3rd of May 2023, I'm having to lodge the only avenue of appeal that they're now my university is now permitting me is through external avenues. There's nothing stopping me from lodging a university complaint. From what I still have access to, that avenue. So I still have access to that avenue. There's nothing stopping me from doing that. But for the next 5 years until semester 1, 2028, when I'm eligible to reapply. Essentially, they have not revoked their conversion therapy punishment that they're currently UTC staff are currently doing to me, and in which essentially I have repeatedly got to produce old records in my dead name in order to prove I'm not guilty of any offense. Essentially, the last thing that I expected, to cut a long story short, within the UTC Student Association, I can talk about it freely, freely on this channel. Within the UTC Student Association, there are a couple of no voters. Who had a problem with me being a transgender male, and had a problem with me being ordained with the Universal Life Church. And they're opposed to anyone who campaigned or supported me being one of the Car Sydney co-founders of the 13-year campaign for marriage equality. It was literally like they'd put a target on my head, and like a lot of transgender folks, there was a tiny minority of no voters, including at United Theological College, North Parramatta, who strongly opposed anyone who supported marriage equality. They strongly oppose transgender people. Essentially, I had been invited. Had been invited to create posters for them for the end of year student events, and the last thing that I expected was to go and be essentially reprimanded over the matter. And when I eventually managed to get an on-campus, campus hearing for my case in that particular matter, and um, there was also a number of UTC students who, at the time, like I had said my piece. I had said my piece when they rejected my posters. They had asked me. They had asked me to create for them, for them, 3 times. Times in which I sat there. I sat there thinking to. I sat there thinking to myself, in which it didn't seem to. It didn't seem like both posters had equally been endorsed by the UTC Student Association, but there was a tiny no voter minority. I spent time and energy. I didn't mind creating the posters for them, and look, the theme was Dare to Dream. The theme was Dare to Dream. Dream. I created 2 posters for them. For them, like when I create posters, the way I've been taught to create posters is to create political student posters for end of year events. I don't know how to meant for a cause. I don't know how to create something dull and boring. Because I believe when you create something, you do it for the cause, and so I created those posters for the cause. It had a important biblical message from the Noah's Ark story. I think it was in which, yes, there are rainbows in the story, but it had nothing to do with marriage equality. It had nothing to do with marriage equality at the time. And I had put it was a picture of Martin Luther King Dare to Dream speech, and I saw the links between the theme Dare to Dream and the link with Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. And the theme was about what you wanted to be when I grew up, what you wanted to be when you grew up, and for the life of me, like, they opposed like black people being in posters. Like, this was a publicly available Martin Luther King photo that was free of copyright infringement in any way. It was free to be used in any creative way, form that you wanted to. It fully acknowledged that, and saw the parallel links to that with the Genesis story, the Genesis Noah's Ark story, of what you want to be when you grew up, and the picture that I picked, it looked like something out of Noah's Ark. It looked like that arc. That's what it looked like to me. And all it needed was chuck a rainbow in the sky, and it looked like a picture straight out of the Noah's Ark story. Story. It really did. It did if you saw the photo of it. But they didn't want that one, and so I was happy to go and create another one. Again, this particular post, if you read the text in the background, ground, it just said it just said I'm just trying to live my life, 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 in which it said you can be anything you want to be when you grow up. But I'm just trying to live my life. Life. So that wasn't the message. Again, there was no copyright on this. Again, there was no copyright on this particular picture because I contacted them, and they said we've got no problem. It's publicly out there. It's publicly out there, and I included a little acknowledgement of who took the photo, where the photo came from, etc., etc. They didn't mind. They just wanted, the photographer, the photographer just wanted to get the message out there that they're in support of transgender kids. So, kids. So that was the second one, and they rejected. They rejected that. Even though it'd been well supported, it was, even though again this particular poster that was fully endorsed. And then on the third occasion, they just completely rejected that outright, right? And I was willing to, go and create. Okay, well, I'm willing to, go and create another poster, the poster, and I just sat there quietly. I didn't say, didn't say a goddamn word, and there was only there was one UTC staff member there who is currently involved in this current complaint matter, but I said at the time, I said what I had to say, and then I walked away. Way in which I was pretty upset. I was pretty upset in relation to the hate comments that I had copped, combined with the stress, combined with the stress of the whole country having to basically vote on whether or not they're going to, accept us LGBTIQ people are equal before the law. So I had, combined with the stress of that, and the last thing that I needed was, a couple of no voters within the UTC Student Association organising, organising action against, organising a general misconduct complaint. Cut a long story short, when my case finally got heard and the evidence all got heard and my witnesses got heard, the university dismissed the university threw their case out and said there's no evidence, ruled that there was no evidence. Ruled there was no evidence. There was no evidence for their case against me. There was no evidence. There was no sufficient evidence to support them, being against me being called Rev. There was no sufficient evidence for them, being against me wearing a men's collar, simply because, the Universal Life Church, it's not a recognised church in Australia. However, the Attorney General are willing to recognise our ordination, the Universal Life Church ordinations through the fourth category, religious celebrant, the celebrant in which the only minimum requirement certificate for insolvency. However, at that particular time, they had ruled that they threw out their matter. Essentially, they said matter, and I had told that there was no further avenue that I could lodge any further appeals, because my concern at the time, my concern at the time was making sure that no further action was organised against me over the matter. I didn't want a situation like what is happening to me now. Like, for something that happened 5 years ago, I didn't want it, to then be raised again. But that's effectively what happened. And it was there was no mention, that I would in any way, shape, or form have to address this. Would have to address this again. And it wasn't until I got the student general misconduct, until I received the until I received the I had no idea why I had been suspended. The only thing that I hadn't been involved in the UTC Student Association since since all that happened. I'd done my best to try and avoid, not only to try and avoid the UTC Student Association, as well as avoiding getting too involved in that campus. I just focused on completing my studies. Studies like that. That was all I was focused on. Haven't appreciated the continued transphobia that I've experienced from that particular campus, in any way, shape, or form. In my dead name. And likewise, I don't appreciate being in a situation in which, because they didn't correct it on their system, I don't appreciate having to go through some sort of conversion therapy program in which I've got to continually produce old records from 2017, 17 to show I'm not guilty of any offense, and these records are in my dead name. But essentially, I'm effectively and unfortunately, it's in relation to universities. It's not like changing churches in which if you leave one church, if you've experienced discrimination in one church, you can just go join another church and start your life again. It's not like that. It's not like that. In relation to universities now, universities essentially these things have a tendency of following you. So I've only got 3 subjects left to complete my theology degree, but effectively what they've done is they've effectively opened the door, in which they have essentially what they've attached to it instead of the suspension order, order is they've attached a trespass notification to it. So for a period of 5 years, I can effectively be threatened with crucifixion reprisal by any university staff member, and essentially, so this puts me effectively, it puts me in a situation of not only living in fear of that, but it puts me in a situation in which in order to explain how this all came about, how all this came about, I've continually got to produce, like, if I like, it's not a situation like, and I have already inquired at UAC, and fortunately, like you do have to declare, and you do, like, if you go to like any university, that I go to, any university I go to, it's not a case of where you can start with a clean slate. It's not like that. It's that because of the fact that I was too close, that I was so close to finishing my degree. It's not a case like, even if I was, I don't know, like, say for instance I was to go and apply to do a teaching degree, and for example, or a bachelor of education, so say for example, go and do something completely different, that's not even in a religious school. It's in a, like, say for instance I went and applied to, say, Sydney University, for example, to go and do a bachelor of education, for example. Example. I would still have to openly declare it, and declare it, because they do check your background and ground, your educational background, and if there is that, like, if there, it's not like primary school or high school, or high school. Like, while I've never been excluded from any primary school or high school and I've never been excluded from any TAFE, because TAFE, and likewise, because I've generally speaking, like, I remember, like, I've usually left. I've usually left because before it's ever gotten to that point. That point. If there was no, like, if there was no way to stop, if there was not, like, if there was nothing that I could do to stop the bullies, like, there was no, like, when I was growing up, there was no safe schools program, there was no school complaint system or anything like that. Essentially bullies were just free to discriminate against you, and you basically, you couldn't, unless you organized a protest. You basically had to just focus on, completing your studies, and pray to God, that the bullies would leave you alone. I mean, that was I effectively, like, I don't know how. It's only by the grace of God that I managed to bloody well survive it. Like, I'm lucky. I'm lucky to be alive. Life. I really like life. And so likewise, the last thing that I expected, like, I mean, Charles Sturt University is not a um it's not a like Charles Sturt University. It's not a religious school as such. It's not a religious school as such. Um, and so effectively, um, religious organisations are not free to discriminate. Discriminate whether they like it or not, they're not. But essentially, what they're doing is that um, they're using the like they what they do is they use the university complaint system to basically threaten reprisal, reprisal against you if you don't, act like a cisgender allosexual person and don't try to, in order to, try and, fit in, fit into a cisgender allosexual box, and for, like essentially, look, for me, like when I got my legal ID and like it was like finally, I've got proof. And when I was granted permission, when I was granted permission, um, to medically and legally transitioning, because you've got to get in order to for the medical and legal transition part in Australia, you've got to get approval from a doctor, doctor to do the medical. Like people have got no idea. And dear, what lengths what lengths we transgender folks have to go to just to try and find a GP, just to try and find a GP that will recognize us as transgender, transgender, without without any medical or legal gatekeeping, and then like at the time in when was it? Yeah, it was 2019. At the time in 2019, not 19, essentially, I didn't have to deal with the gatekeeping model. I didn't have to deal with the gatekeeping model. The particular transgender friendly doctor that I saw was fully in support of self-identification. Like I just walked into the doctor's office and I said to them, I want to get the F removed. I want to get my dead name and the F removed from my birth certificate. And she gave me she told me that the process was at that particular time is you had to go and see a psychiatrist. You had to go. I went, oh great, here we go again. And which she promised me. She says, I can assure you, you'll only have to see him once or twice. You won't have to, see him ongoing. It's not conversion therapy or anything like that. That he's just there to basically tick the boxes. He's just basically there to tick the boxes, boxes and confirm yes, you're a transgender. You confirm yes, you're a transgender person, and you need life-saving, medical. You need, you need hormones, you need gender affirmation surgery, you need hormones, you need gender affirmation surgery, you need your legal ID. So he's just there to affirm what's already been happening. So he and that's a good psychiatrist who is just there to tick the boxes, but tick the boxes to affirm that a transgender person is a transgender to affirm a transgender person is a transgender person. So the person, and I only had to see them twice. I only just had to see them twice, in which they sent me. He sent me a copy of the referral, and essentially, all he does is he changes the date. Date because he still stands by his original medical assessment. He just changes the date and gives that gives that an updated version. It gives that to give to you to give to any surgeon that you need to go and get gender affirmation. I'm sorry. In my case, I've still got to get my bottom surgery, which costs about $90,000, or $30,000, depending on because transgender guys, we get a choice. We get a choice in the particular type of bottom surgery that we go for. And it's like it's not so like in terms of like if I could if I had a spare like $30,000, like if I had a spare $30,000 or $90,000, I'd go and get the surgery. Surgery, but the reality is like I went and I saw my transgender GP. I went and I saw my transgender surgeon again, in which I still like. And I said to him, I've been seeing him since 2019, and I've continued to say my financial situation hasn't changed. I still can't afford. I still can't afford. I still, can't come up with like $30,000 to $90,000 for the surgery. Surgery. Is there any way that you can find, a free avenue through the public healthcare system, considering, I've been waiting over 40 years for this, and so he's doing, and he continues to have to, unfortunately, sadly, tell me the reality. No, it's not quite free through, it's not quite free through the public healthcare system, and so then my everyday reality is I still have to deal with bigots who want to know whether or not you've had the bottom surgery or not. Anyway, I'm not going to go because I don't really like because I'm also asexual and I don't really like talking about what's below the waist or waist. I strongly encourage you to go and watch my transgender gender affirmation videos, etc. etc. But and look, I didn't really intend Sunday church service to be about me talking about this, and I've been talking about this for about half an hour now. But look, if you want to know more information, etc., you can contact us at CLACCA01 at gmail.com. I'm more than happy to give you any further information in relation to that. What I really want to do now is get into Sunday church. But that's the that's the state of play. I may have to, but essentially, I am lodging an appeal through external avenues. I may have to lodge a Form 1 for a protest, because I've talked to, there's one group, there's a school of discipleship, Unfortunately, they can't move their conference to they can't move their conference to another venue. They can't move their conference to another venue. Venue in venue. So essentially, I am, and I've already told them that if I can't get it revoked in time for the SOD conference, then I may have to lodge a Form 1 for a protest. Protest, and I've alerted them the fact that it's not against SOD in any way, shape, or form, but that's the only way. That's the only protest in which. If you do protest, like as long as you keep the protest on public land, land outside the boundary where they've declared a trespass, where they declared a trespass notification, technically, legally, they can't stop you. So essentially, that's. Hopefully, in worst case scenario, hopefully it can be revoked by then. But I have alerted them to the fact that there's a good possibility I'm going to have to lodge a Form 1. Form 1 in order to attend the SOD conference. Please be aware of the fact this is not against SOD in any way, shape, or form. And so they have acknowledged the fact that yes, I'm not doing this against SOD or anything, but this is just for the only legal way, or the only legal way that I will be able to do to stand in to be able to attend the SOD conference. Conference is going and lodging a solidarity protest. In order to attend. Look, I hope it can be revoked through external avenues. I've got 28 days to do the first one. The other avenues, I've got a little bit more time. But right now, I just really want to get into the message. So, this particular message, is appropriately titled. It's called "No Non-Committal Answers." Answers. So, and it comes from the book of Sarah, 15:16-21, 1 Corinthians 2:6-10, Matthew 5:17-37. And the message goes like this. The Sermon on the Mount is a demanding synthesis of Jesus' preaching. Christ represents both a continuity and a break with the law of Moses. Jesus' reaction is more against the distortions which the scribes and the Pharisees in Matthew 5:20 have introduced in the law. The kingdom proclaimed by Jesus presupposes the practice of justice, not legal and formal justice, but profound and reasonable justice. It is always easier to follow rules than to be committed and to share out of love. The Lord also indicates some guidelines to follow. You have heard, but I say to you, and in each case, the Lord's demand is much greater. The central idea is indicated in verses 23-24. Our offering at the altar is worthless if we deprive or forget others. It is not a matter of personal scruples, but something objective. If your comrade has said something against you, others are a reference point. In spite of that, today we do not see Christians turn back on Sunday when they come to church to celebrate the Eucharist. Reconciliation with others implies our respecting their rights and opening our hearts to concrete gestures. But we must stop there. But we must not stop there either. We have to come back to our present offering to complete the circle. Prayer and commitment go hand in hand. The Eucharist demands that we create a human solidarity. Only thus will our words be authentic rather than vague, a yes, yes, or a no, no. The Book of Sirach represents the option to us with the same clarity. Before each person are life and death. Whichever one chooses will be greater. Chooses will be given in verses 15 to 7. This is our alternative, an idea already found in Deuteronomy 30:15. The decision is in the hands of human beings, whom the Lord has created free, in 15 to 14. Believing in God is choosing life. The purpose of practice of righteousness, which is demanded in the Sermon on the Mount, those who limit themselves to formal observance of the commandments of the Lord betray God's will for life. Under religious appearances, they are living a lie, and God will not let liars go unpunished. Believers always run the risk of falling into the hypocrisy of the Pharisees. What will enable us to discern is wisdom, the gift of God, not the alleged and calculating knowledge of the rulers of this age in 1 Corinthians 2:6. If we confine ourselves to a religion of formal and external precepts, if we do not unite prayer with the practice of justice, if we do not choose life, we are crucifying Jesus again. We're now going to go to our message and then we will do communion. And I apologize for the late running. But I don't care. I don't care. I've been kept silent. I've been kept silent about this matter since the 13th, since the 14th. It's 14th of it would have been the since the 14th of February 2023. So but I'm just going to put the next song of praise on, and this one is called Together We Can Change the World, and then we will shoot over to communion.
We're going to change the world.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe it's not too late. Together we can change the world. Lay the puzzle pieces out. Find out what it's all about. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world.
you. Thank you.
On the night that Jesus was betrayed, Jesus took a loaf of bread, broke it, and said, "This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me." In the same way, Jesus took the cup and said, "This cup contains a new covenant of my blood, which is poured out for you. Do this in remembrance of me." This table doesn't belong to any state authority. It doesn't belong to any church. It doesn't belong to any school. You're not going to get in trouble if you come to this table. There's nobody here that's going to crucify you. This table really does belong to God, and all are welcome to this table without discrimination, regardless of your sexuality or gender. Please come and share in this meal. We're going to go to our next song of praise. Praise and it is The Village by Rebel. And then we're going to
No, your mom don't get it, and your dad don't get it, Uncle John don't get it. And you can't tell Grandma 'cause her heart can't take it, and she might not make it. They say don't.
Why can't she just be a lesbian?
Because she's not a lesbian, Mom. She's a boy.
But she's a person who likes girls. That can be a boy or a lesbian, and she's still getting her period, so I vote lesbian.
He's still getting his period.
There's something wrong in the village, in the village. Oh, they stare in the village, in the village. Oh, there's nothing wrong with you. It's true, it's true. There's something wrong with the village, with the village. There's something wrong with the village.
She never wore dresses. He said it didn't matter.
This isn't about wearing dresses. It's not a choice. It's not a whim.
I'm having a shitty day, Mom. I'm having a shitty existence.
There are risks. They're serious risks.
I know.
She may not be able to get pregnant. What if she changes her mind?
What if he commits suicide?
Been a problem with the papers. Your father has to sign it.
Okay. But he won't. Why does he care? He hasn't seen me since I was basically a baby.
I didn't leave my family.
I feel pretty lost.
Something wrong with
I'm sorry if you're this way because of me. Are you this way because of me?
I'm a lot of things because of you. This isn't one of them.
There is no Ramona anymore. It's just Ray. Now, I went through losing my daughter all by myself, and I will be raising my son exactly the same by myself.
It's just such a monumental decision. Oh, God. Honestly, I think Ray is the only good decision I've ever made. If we go through with this, does that make me the best mother on the planet or the worst? Do you remember we were going to name him Cole if he was a boy? And now she is a boy, and his name is Ray, like a truck driver or something? What if he turns around one day with a full beard and says, Mom, I made a mistake?
What's the date?
This is fucking insane. Jesus. I didn't do anything. She just showed up.
He.
Sorry. He.
Let's talk about Ray. Okay, now I'm gonna show you how to use this, right? It's not very complicated. Testosterone. A couple of do's and don'ts. Right, Ray?
Thank you.
Now it's time to do our offering. If you would like to donate to CLACCA Universal Life Church's Fighting Fund, you can. You can donate at CLACCA Universal Life Church, BSB 11287 495 470 290 or gofund.me/6D9 10E99. Now it's time for our final song of praise. It's called I'll Stand By You, and it's by the Pretenders.
Why you look so sad? The tears are in your eyes. Come on and come to me now. Don't be ashamed to cry. Let me see you through, 'cause I've seen the dark side too. When the night falls on you, you don't know what to do. Nothing you confess could make me love you less. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. So, if you're mad, get mad. Don't hold it all inside. Come on and talk to me now. Hey, what you got to hide? I get angry too. Well, I'm alive like you. When you're standing at the crossroads, don't know which path to choose. Let me come along. 'Cause even if you're wrong, I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. And when the night falls on you, baby, you'll feel it all alone. You won't be on your own. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Take me into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you. Won't let nobody hurt you. I'll stand by you. Baby, into your darkest hour, and I'll never desert you. I'll stand by you. I'll stand by you.
That's all we have time for. For this Sunday evening. There's a little church I've got to go and see. There's a little church I've got to go and see. To talk to them about a Uniting Church decision that was made about me while I was doing a period of discernment. No, I wasn't kicked out. I wasn't kicked out over the matter, but it was very much a case of I couldn't. I'll tell you. I may as well tell you because it's going to come out. It's going to come out. eventually. I've been ordained. I've been an ordained minister with the Universal Life Church since the 28th of September 2013. 13. There was a period. First branch of the Universal Life Church, I got ordained with was the Universal Life Church monastery. Monastery. At the time, I didn't know. At the time, I didn't know if the church was real. If the church was real, I didn't know. I didn't know if the church was real, or if if this was a con, anyway, shape or form. But I believed it. I believed con or anyway, shape or form. But so it took me 5 years. Like it took me 5 years through a terrible crucifixion experience to believe yes, this was real, and I managed to find that yes, and I then got ordained with the original Universal Life Church headquarters into in 21st of September 2000. But have a look. So yeah, so the first one I got ordained with is the 28th of September 2013. That's 13. Yeah. So I just try and hold it up. So that's the first time I got ordained with. So in my journey, so like through that 5-year period of exploration, I'd reached a point. There was a couple of other little churches I went back to. I think it was the Salvation Army. Salvation Army had offered me to be a soldier. Went back to them, and like I was, essentially, they let me go to. I think it was the William Booth College. Yeah, it was the William Booth College, and they wanted me to withdraw my sermon on my biblical sermon on marriage quality and safe schools, and why the cell, because I'd found something. There was actually nothing. There was actually nothing in the Salvation Army church doctrines that was actually against LGBTIQA plus people. When I went back to the core, like the original core of the Salvation Army church doctrines, there was actually nothing. Nothing in the original church doctrines that was against LGBTIQ people, even though they have not always supported. So even though they've never really supported LGBTIQ people. Went back there and went to another little church that was friends of a former church that had been fleeing from unfortunately they were a Pentecostal church. That they were Pentecostal church. Church, and essentially, I never went back to them, and wound up starting. Yeah, wound up bringing my CLACCA ULC ministry out of the closet. But through my journey, there were a couple of churches that I went to that were supportive of us through the course of the journey, journey, who were part of a mainstream affirming church, mainstream affirming church. One of them was Leichhardt Uniting Church. One of them was Leichhardt Uniting Church. And look, I've got even though I didn't agree with even though I didn't agree with the Uniting Church decision to stop me from completing my period of discernment within the Uniting Church. I personally, I've never held it. I've never held it against the Uniting Church. But I couldn't, realistically, in being told that I couldn't be called Rev, and being told that that they were not going to candidate me for ordained ministry, and that they were not going to progress to candidating me for ordained ministry. But however, I was willing, I was welcome to, go back to Leichhardt Uniting Church and go and occupy a Sunday church pew. And they said a lot of transphobic, they dead named me, they misgendered me. Well, yes, they acknowledged the fact that, yes, I've got a gift in preaching the Bible and sit within the Reformation period. I didn't agree with the decision. I didn't agree with the decision to stop me from completing a POD within the Uniting Church. Simply because my mentor happened to go away on maternity leave. And I didn't, at the time, Leichhardt Uniting Church, they didn't have, their minister had retired, and I hadn't come there, to replace their former minister. I'd gotten to know Leichhardt Uniting Church really well. I had a lot of respect for the former minister, the minister who retired, had very good liberation hermeneutics, etc. And we're still friends. We're still friends, but it was a case of I didn't want to put them. I didn't want to put Leichhardt Uniting Church in a situation of forcing us to live a lie. I couldn't. I physically, I couldn't bring myself to walk in that building every Sunday and live a lie. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it and go and occupy a Sunday church pew, praying to God that I might get picked, praying to God that for when the day will come when somebody would wake up and go, oh yeah, you're calling to be an ordained minister. I couldn't bring myself to do it, and so I just left. So I didn't leave. Well, yeah, I was upset by the decision of Wesley Mission, because it was somebody from Wesley. It happened in. I got told it happened during the. It was about 3 or 4 days after New Year of 2017. 17, when I got told this decision behind closed doors. Doors. There was nothing in the decision that said I couldn't come back to the Uniting Church. There was nothing in the while it said that I should go back to organising protests. It said I should go back to organising protests, etc. And well, I acknowledged the fact, well, I was grateful. The fact that they were willing to allow me to go back to like a Uniting Church. However, I couldn't bring myself to go and sit on a Sunday church pew every Sunday with the knowledge in my head. Hey, I'm ordained, not once, but friggin' bloody twice. Twice with two branches of Universal Life Churches. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Do it. Do it. I mean, do it in any way, shape, or form. I couldn't bring it and bring myself to go. Like, it was not my fault that I didn't have legal ID at that particular time. When I had run out of churches, that's essentially what I did. And the last thing that I wanted was friggin' anyone from the Uniting Church to put pressure on the Uniting Church, to force them to like, I did it out of love for them. I did it out of love for them, and essentially, like I just left, and I granted, I wish I could have said goodbye to them. I wish I could have said goodbye to them, but them, and I still see them. I still talk to, and I still like. So even though I didn't have, an official goodbye, even though I didn't have an official, goodbye, from them, I had to leave, because I couldn't bring myself to sit every Sunday and live a life. I couldn't do it. Do it in any way, shape, or form. And I just wanted, and I had hoped that by leaving the Uniting Church, I had hoped that the no voters would stop their attacks against me. I had hoped that, last thing that I expected was for them to get me at my university again in 2017, and the last thing that I expected was to get me again online in the worst possible friggin' way. I don't, for the life of me, when I won my case in back in 2018. I had hoped that, I took on board Dr. Ben Myers' advice, and I had thought that if I just stay out, if I just don't get involved in the UTC Student Association and just focus on, completing my studies, they would leave me alone. But they didn't. It didn't, it reached a point where they were not willing to give me credit for my work. And so I thought, okay, well, then I'll go and I'll complete my studies online. But it seemed online in Canberra. But it seems that they couldn't even let me do that. It seems that when I was so close to, when I had only 3 friggin' bloody subjects left, they used me obtaining like all I had wanted was a university letter for Centrelink. That's it, to confirm my enrollment. It wasn't my fault in any way, shape, or form. UTC staff had cancelled subjects I had enrolled in. It wasn't my fault that UTC staff, didn't want to respect my CSU Bachelor of Theology program. Because, as far as I was concerned, I'd been assured that when I went back to there, I had been assured that and while Joanne Stokes was at a time when there was, I acknowledge the fact that I did, contact UTC reception, and I did ask that, hey, look, this has happened. It happened, can I get a support letter? And she didn't want to help me. Joanne Stokes, she didn't want to help me then. And it was very clear what she said to me on the phone. She didn't want to help me. And I contacted, CSU counselling, and, I had tried repeatedly in the past to go and lodge formal complaints, formal university complaints about the transphobic discrimination I experienced in my dead name from UTC. Since that time. But that when that avenue came to a dead end, because there was a change in CSU. There was a change in CSU ombudsmen who didn't want to take on my case, didn't want to spend the time, continuing to do the investigation that was being undertaken. There was also a case of witnesses not stepping forward. By 2020, I did what I could. I thought, okay, well, I'll just go online in Canberra. Canberra, if I can't, Canberra, if I can't use the men's toilets, if they don't want to call me by my transgender male name, if they don't want me to be involved in that campus, okay. So, but I kind of wonder, like, what have they done to make me feel welcome at that campus? What have they done to make amends with me? Because I've spent my entire life like fleeing from those, and like there are times where like we do organize protests, protests, but the part that I don't, the part that I am trying to work out is that I'm not part of the Uniting Church, and for the life of me, I'm not part of the Uniting Church. I don't understand why they felt the need to go after me at my university. That's the part that I don't get. I've said enough. Anyway, that's all we've got time for. We've been going for an hour and 46, and I do apologise for going over time tonight. But I am going to continue to fight this one. I'm going to continue to fight this one. I don't want this. One. I just want to complete my theology degree. I just want to complete my Bachelor of Theology degree. And then after that, if I can't get it, I have applied to do a certificate for in celebrancy. But yeah, I just want to complete my Bachelor of Theology degree. And then go. Because it's not gonna like. I've got no plans of becoming a member of. I got no plans of giving up my ULC ordination. I've got no plans of medical and legal detransition. That's not going to change in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, I'm hoping when I go and talk to CLACCA Uniting Church that the church I've already alerted them to the situation and I'm gonna have a chat to them. I'm gonna have a chat to them and say to them, look, if they can sit down and have a chat to, regardless of whether I'm permitted to be invited or not, can they look, just get a motion passed? Can they get a motion passed to revoke that decision? To revoke that decision and just make a decision that the Uniting Church, the Uniting Church is not going to organise that nobody from the Uniting Church church, regardless of whether they support our church, if they don't essentially in no way, shape, or form if they don't want to be part of the Universal Life Church, church. I've never suggested that. I've never suggested that. If that, likewise, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me that the Uniting Church, like two individuals behind closed doors, Graham Long and Jenny Ducker, it doesn't bother me. Me, if that they don't want to, accept I'm a transgender male ordained minister, that doesn't bother me, but I'm not gonna go and occupy a Sunday church pew every Sunday, every Sunday, and force them in a situation but essentially, if it's possible, if they can do something to stop the Uniting Church attacks against me, like, that would be greatly appreciated. Like, if I turn up to events, etc. I'm a visitor. And I just, like, me personally, like, I just want to complete my theology degree so I can, legally register my ULC ordination in Australia. That's what I wanted. Where my original plan is to complete my theology degree, then go complete a certificate 4, and then go get legally registered. But looks like it may be the case where I'm still waiting to hear back. I'm still waiting to hear back from. I've already put in the application to go and complete a certificate 4 in celibacy. See, if I can't, well, I will keep lodging appeals. Well, I'm not going to give up lodging appeals to get this revoked, because I don't want this thing to follow me around for the rest of my life. When I'm done completing my theology degree, I don't know. I don't know if I'll be doing. When I'm done completing my theology degree, I don't know. If I. Yeah, I don't know if I will go back to I definitely want to do postgraduate university studies, but I don't think I will go back to I don't think I will go back to after my experience within a theological school within a university. Firstly, when I've completed my degree, when I've completed my Bachelor of Theology degree, I'm going to have to be given assurances. I'm going to have to be given some sort of assurance that I'm going to be allowed, I'm going to be allowed to complete my theology degree without fear, without, fear of, like, some individual who's, discriminatory against me, without, fear, without being threatened with without being threatened with reprisal by university staff who want to crucify me. Yeah, I am beyond belief as to why it's beyond belief to me, when I'm not part of their friggin' church, why they felt the need to go after me at my friggin' university when my ordination had nothing to do with them. Then that was God. That was God's doing. And doing, it wasn't my ULC ordination. It had already been decided. It had already been decided by God. God, in the Universal Life Church, and it doesn't bother me that, like it's, once upon a time, Crave MCC was a church that I loved, and I was there for about 5 years, but and I've still got a freaking court matter with them that I'm still dealing with however, I for the life of me, I don't understand why, considering, I'm not part of the Uniting Church, for the life of me, I really don't know. I really don't get why. They just couldn't let me, finish my degree. I really don't. And I really don't get, why Joanne Stokes feels the need to organise against me when I friggin', I blocked her from contacting me. She didn't want to help me. I blocked her from contacting me. So, and went and contacted, friggin' CSU counselling for a university letter for Centrelink. That was all that was needed in the situation. I don't understand why, friggin' Melanie Rumble needed to contact me and threaten me with reprisal over the matter, and I don't understand why Anthony Reeves, likewise, when that should have been the end of it. Anthony Reeves, his university letters certainly helped to restore payments, but it restored me on a full-time load. Because he hadn't quite gotten into his head that he needed to confirm my enrollment for the whole year, as opposed to just offer letters for one semester. Offer letters for one semester, so that it was very clearly articulated to Centrelink, no, this is part-time for 12 months. Months. But for the life of me, I really don't understand why I'm essentially why 5 years later I'm having to address this matter again. Why 5 years later am I having to address this matter again? It's not my fault the Australian government had a freaking plebiscite on marriage equality. And, likewise, it's, not my fault, friggin' Jenny Ducker and Graham Long were, not willing to allow me to complete my period of discernment within the Uniting Church. I left. And, I don't understand why they felt the need to go after me at my university. I really don't. Why couldn't they have allowed me just to go to Canberra and finish my degree? That's the part that I don't get. Why couldn't they, have just allowed me to go and, I'll go and I'll complete my degree in Canberra. Why couldn't they have been willing to, meet me halfway? That's the part that I don't get. It may have been full time at UTC, but what Anthony had offered me for one semester, but I've got a neurological disability. I've got a neurological disability, and I can't take on any more. Just as I can't do any more than a part-time load, just as equally. I can't handle, I don't understand. And then, that basically, where, I've never, they've never even allowed me to attend my own friggin' goddamn hearing to address this matter. Yeah, I don't understand it. Anyway, we'll see you next week. I'm gonna go. I've got to continue to work on my appeal. I've got appeal. Essentially, I've got to go to the administrative. It's called the administrative. It's called the AAT. That's all I know. But I got 28 days from. I got 28 days from the notification. I got 28 days to. I got 28 days to go and lodge an appeal through external bodies. And bodies, it doesn't stop me from, as I said, it doesn't stop me from going and lodging a university appeal. It doesn't stop me from. It doesn't stop me from going and lodging a university complaint about the matter. It doesn't stop me, and likewise, they're not stopping me from. They're not stopping me from going and lodging, appeals through external bodies, but the part that I don't get, and that's the part I don't get, is why they felt, if you look at the matter legally, the matter within the student association, it was lodged by students. It was lodged by two no-voter students. Two no-voter students. They lost their case. Against me. Likewise, I exhausted. At the time, all I wanted was a university letter for Centrelink. And I wanted to focus on, organising my church Mardi Gras entry, and I wanted to focus on World Pride events. I didn't want to, I didn't want to deal with a bully. I didn't want to deal with a bully. I had thought, my infinite wisdom, I'll just avoid her. Avoid her with the hope, maybe, she'll leave me alone. I just block her from contacting me and I'll just avoid her. But it seems even trying to avoid the bullies of the Uniting Church, they can't seem to, they can't seem to get it into the head to leave us alone. If you, like, it doesn't bother me, if you don't, they don't want me to be part, like, if they don't want me, like, that doesn't bother me. And I think, and there were a number of Uniting Church people who've tried to talk me into returning to the Uniting Church. And I said no, because I don't want to. I don't want to occupy a Sunday church pew. I don't, in which I'm expected to live a lie, in which I can't be called by my name, in which I can't be an ordained minister. I can't do that. And I was not willing to do that in any way, shape, or form. That, and but I've continued to, and as much as those few supporters, etc. I've sat down and I've had a chat with them, and I've said, and I've told them, I'm sorry, but I can't. I'm not going to give up my ULC ordination, and I'm not. I can't. But unfortunately, in relation to what's happened in relation to my theology degree, this is not something that I can walk away from. When I've only got 3 subjects left, and all I want is my case to be heard, and the truth to be heard, and I'm not guilty of any offence. That's all I've got time for. I'll talk to you next week. Please join us every Sunday from 5 p.m. Please join us every Sunday from 5 p.m. And hopefully next Sunday, I don't have to. I can focus on. I don't have to talk about this. But as I said, look, it's only just happened to me this week. It's only just happened to me this week, and I'm still having to go through the process of it, and it's really not cool in any way, shape, or form. That's all for now. Bye, and I will see you next Sunday from 5 p.m.